49er talk show says Kyle will be fired next year, and this downfall will affect the 49ers long term. Bill will be head coach next year after his TV gig. Watch Kyle. Watch. Kyle is a cancer. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, and you see that? That's a
There's a lot
guy
there.
with a Brock Purdy. That's a guy with a Brock Purdy avatar. I told you this before the season started. You know what we talked? Did I not say this? I said to you, I said, Kyle met his match with Brock because the fans are not going to turn on Brock. It's going to be Kyle.
They would have if Brock didn't play well. But
that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
That's my next point, though.
Yeah,
that's my next point. My next point is that this is another silver lining that I feel as though is being missed, that Brock survived Kyle. What quarterback?
Brock took away the let's blame the quarterback from Kyle.
Yes, he survived it. Jimmy never survived that. Trey never survived that. CJ Beathard or Nick Mullins did not survive that. RG3 did not survive that. Neither did Johnny Manziel. None of them. And in a way, Matt Ryan didn't even really survive it, right? Like, I'm telling you, walking away from that game, Brock didn't have a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. He missed throws and he put a little bit too much on. But at the same time, nobody walked away from that game saying that it was Brock. As a matter of fact, you can almost kind of feel like there was a little bit of professional, like a little bit of professional jabbing, when I feel like a lot of professionals went out of their way to highlight how good of a game Brock did. Even Coach Spags went and texted Brock and said, bro, you had a great game. He went on camera and talked about how good Brock did. Like, and you know what that is? That's all great for Brock. It's amazing. But you know what it also says is that was on your coach, kid. You had a good game. That wasn't on you. He did everything he was supposed to do. And that's something that I don't think Kyle is used to.
Brock didn't turn it over. Mahomes threw a pick. Brock didn't. You know, so it's like Brock played. I mean, nobody plays a perfect game, but Mahomes didn't play a perfect game, but Brock played well enough. So it can't be like it was Brock. More, I would say this. If you put out a poll question to every 49er fan, who would you blame more for losing Super Bowl 58? Brock Purdy or Kyle Shanahan? I am absolutely convinced that the fan base would vote that Kyle had more impact.
100%. I would love, put that on your Twitter. Put that on your Twitter, because that is the conversation that I feel like will put people squarely in the decision chamber of like, okay, Wilkes is gone. We can't blame it on the defense. We can't blame it on the O-line. This isn't about. Have you ever noticed how we make so many versus situations on our team, but just to stay away from Kyle? It's always Spencer Burford versus John Feliciano, Coach Wilkes versus the defense. You know what I'm saying? Brock Purdy versus the Chiefs. It's like, nah, bro. At the end of the day, quarterbacks and coaches win games. Okay. And if you had to ask, who would you blame more versus who lost this Super Bowl, I bet you there would be a resounding favor in Kyle. Like, Kyle, you can't blame this on Kyle. Brock did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Should it be a 2-person thing, or should we add a third person? Here's the question:
who had 2? Because if you do the third, you're gonna let him off the hook. No.
Who had a bigger impact on the 49ers losing Super Bowl 58? Brock Purdy or Kyle Shanahan? There we go. I just put it out.
Yes.
I just put it out. We'll see what it says at the end of the show. Mm-hmm. I would say people are going to say Shanahan 2-1, maybe 3-1, maybe
4-1,
maybe 4-1. and I agree with them. So I mean, it's.
And then hold on. And do you know what else?
And
I want you to highlight this.
And yet, I'm sitting here, and you know it because we've talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Shanahan believer. I don't think they should fire Shanahan. Maybe not. It's not like they should never, But right now, if you said, do you think you'd rather keep Shanahan or fire Shanahan? No doubt in my mind, I'd rather keep Shanahan. But there's also no doubt in my mind that he had a bigger impact on losing Super Bowl 58 than Brock Purdy.
You know, one thing that absolves Brock too is that after the game, how he talked about his play. He admitted where he messed up.
Well,
he was culpable. He was accountable.
Yeah.
But do you understand though? Do you understand how like just getting the little piece of the accountability out of the way first does wonders for you? It's like I don't understand why Kyle doesn't get that, where it's like, my man, you're about to be asked like maybe 10 minutes worth of questions. If you would just start the press conference with 45 seconds to a minute of, hey man, I didn't get it done. This is unacceptable. You know, everything that happened in this game falls squarely on me. I'm gutted for those guys back there, and I could have did better. You know, if you have any issues that happen with the team, place them squarely on me, because this is where it belongs. Boom! Answer as many questions as you need to do and get out of there. Completely kill the narrative of Kyle didn't do anything. He wasn't accountable. And you kill like a month's worth of content of people saying like, did you see the way he was answering questions? Did you see how cantankerous he was? Did you see how abrupt he was? And it's like, that's why it's not the fact that he's not accountable. It's the fact that I don't think he wants to be. I don't think he wants to be. I think he understands that there's a moment of time where you could do that, and he's like, I'm not giving them that. I'm not giving them that. Because you know why? He did it with Trey.
Right.
I had closure when he sat down after that preseason game and said, I feel like I let him down.
Yeah. That was
on me. That
was
gave
his
me closure.
That was his best presser by far.
By far. I was done after that. I said, okay, well, shit, what else can you say? What else are you going to do? He admitted it.
I let him down. I was the reason. I agree. I think you would. Now, you don't, first of all, the only thing I'll say is I hate the guys who do that so militantly and religiously that it doesn't have meaning.
Yeah, it can't be a track. It can't be like,
it can't be Mike Singletary saying, I got to watch the film. You can't. Yeah. You cannot step into every presser and be like, it's on me. It's on me. It's on me. That gets tired too. But there's a right time to do it. And to me, like at the end of seasons, when your players can no longer make a tackle, make a catch, make a play, that's a great time to be like, hey, you know what? Because you lost the game, and you know it wasn't good enough, and you know the buck stops with you. And you know you're the big dog living in a $12 million mansion. And you know that the owner is already on your side and has already extended you. That's when you step up, cover your players, and be like, you know what? We gotta watch the film and figure out the mistakes. But before we do any of it, I'll just say, this one's on me. This one's on me. I gotta be better. Everybody's got to be better, but it starts with me. And I wasn't good enough. And I haven't been good enough in this game to get a ring. And it's not on the players. It's not on the coaches. It's on this guy right here. I think that goes such a great distance. I think you're so spot on that, Coach. And the Trey presser was such a strong moment for Kyle Shanahan, where he said, you know what? I blew this.
I feel like I let him down.
I let us down. I let him down. I thought that was really strong, and it really did diffuse because there were people in the media that night that had sharpened their knives and they were ready to carve up Kyle. And the way he owned that, and he knew it, because he's not an idiot, and he knew it, and so he diffused it by owning it. But he could do that a little bit more. That's all I would say.
But I will say this though. But what does that say?
As long as it's genuine.
What does that say about? Yes. What does that say about our media though? Like our Bay Area media? Because to be quite honest with you, I didn't think that the atmosphere was that thick. I just thought that the atmosphere like was adequate for the moment.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like
it was after a preseason game, so
you just
it was a
traded
little,
the
yeah.
number 3 overall pick, bro. Excuse the hell out of me for giving a damn. You know what I'm saying? So like I
Well,
feel
come
like
on. I mean, Coach, let's be honest. Corey
okay.
himself, Corey Rush, the head of
Okay.
PR, who was with the New York Giants, has stated multiple times for everybody to hear, man, this ain't New York. You know what I mean? Man, this ain't DC. Man, this ain't Chicago. You know, it's like, in other words, the media here is very forgiving.
Yeah.
Very forgiving. But they're not a bunch of schlubs, but they're just very forgiving, and they're not quite as angry. And it's like, if you, when faced, like in the Northeast, when faced with a coach who's taking the blame, they'll listen to him take the blame and they'll still carve him up.
Yeah.
Here, when a coach takes the blame, they'll say, hey man,
we're literally just waiting for you to take it. It's there for you to do. Like,
but here it diffuses the room. There it does not.
I'm gonna tell you, there's a reason why Kyle's father and him do not like Washington. Okay. There's a reason why they don't like Washington. And a big reason why they don't like Washington is because of the media. It's because the media was not impressed with them. They were not impressed. Mike came in and they
didn't win there.
He wanted all the control. But what else is new? They're used to not winning.
Well, but right? I mean, they won here, and they went to Denver. They won in Denver. They went to Washington. They didn't win in Washington. So you know what I mean, you always had that as a buffer.
Let me put it like this. It wasn't the fact that they didn't win. It was how they were running the organization. Like, Mike had his hands on everything, but he didn't want to be accountable for anything. And the media had a field day, and they were relentless. And there's some pieces about the Shanahans that were written by Mike Wilbon, like New York Times, Tony Kornheiser, like people out here that were literally in your face, John Keim, where these people will write some stuff about you that I guarantee you would never see in the Bay about how they feel about these guys. So
I mean, but look what they did in Denver. Look what Mike did in Denver. 138 and 86 and won 2 Super Bowls. Look what he did in Washington. 24 and 40 and only one playoff appearance, only one playoff game, and they lost it. So it's like, if they were 40 and 24 instead of 24 and 40, maybe things go differently. But you know, they didn't have that success. Success always keeps everybody at an arm's length. You know, success is that's why it is such a bottom line business. It's like, did you win or did you lose? And if you win, guess what? You don't get the criticism, but if you don't win, you get tons of it. And especially if you don't win in the Northeast or anywhere in the kind of that I-95 corridor. If you don't win in Washington, you get ripped. If you don't win in New York, you get ripped. If you don't win in New England, you get ripped. If you don't win in San Francisco, it's, you know.
Well, let me ask you something, because I don't live out there, right?
Yeah. People are just kind of, I don't want to say that we're soft, but we're just kind of.
Yeah. So let me ask you something, because like I said, I don't live out there. Out here, the Commanders are an entity, right? But they're just an entity. There are other companies and organizations out here that people care about, right? Are the Niners kind of like the top of the hill? Are they kind of like it? It can't be in Silicon Valley with all of the corporations, but how are the Niners received locally?
I just think that it's sports on the West Coast is more in the place of where it probably belongs in our society. It's a diversion. It's a diversion from the reality of life. In a lot of places, it is life. You know, like SEC football, it's life. You know, it's life and death. And in the Northeast, it's, you know, you win or you get criticized. Here, people will be critical, but only to a degree. I mean, the Giants have been horrible the last few years. Have been boring. The attendance is falling through the floorboards, and yet the media is just very much like, somewhat hands off. The Warriors have been a dynasty, and you would, literally, they could take a crap in the middle of the road, and people would just be like, "Hey, you know what? There needed to be some crap right there." And the Niners. I think there's pockets of the fan base and the media that will keep them, hold them accountable. But there's a lot of people that are like, hey, overall, it's been pretty damn good. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're just not quite as passionate, or as we don't tie our joy on the West Coast to our teams, like they do in other parts of the country.
On the East Coast.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the weather or what, or if it's the wealth or what it is. But it's just, not that people don't want to win, but it's like, and LA is even more so. Like, is there pressure? Will there be pressure on Harbaugh to win? Yeah, but I mean, not really. I mean, not really. I mean, is there pressure on McVay to win? Yeah, but I mean, not really. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, it's just not the same. It's just not quite the same cauldron. We'll just call it that.
Okay.